everyone, today I'm going to be explaining what all the Infinity Stones are, what they do, and even who's owned them. But before I begin, if you love everything to do with Marvel, then you're in the right place, so please consider subscribing. So first of all, there's 6 Infinity Stones, and these were first created in the Big Bang, and that's how they were basically created. So first, I'll tell you about the Yellow Stone, which is the Mind Stone. Now, the Mind Stone gives the user the ability to fire projectile blasts, enable teleportation, and even mental communication. This stone was first owned by Loki. However, it was then taken by Hydra. Now, Hydra trialled this on some volunteers. One of the volunteers we know as Wanda Maximoff, and we do know this because as we've seen it in the film Captain America Civil War and the series WandaVision. Later the stone was recovered by the Avengers, and then it was retaken by Ultron in the film Avengers Age of Ultron. Ultron then put the stone in what was to be his new body. However, the Avengers caught the body and took it back to their facility, and then they basically put their AI robot, Jarvis, into the body, and that became Vision, as we know today. And it stayed with Vision for quite a long time, actually. However, in the film Infinity War, in the Battle of Wakanda, we see that Thanos takes out the stone from Vision's head and Vision dies. But then it gets taken back 5 years later by the Avengers in a time heist, and we see Tony Stark use it in the end of Endgame. And that is basically the Mind Stone. So next we have the Soul Stone, which is orange in colour. This stone allows the user to control, steal, manipulate, and alter living and dead souls. And it also basically just allows the user to control all life over the universe. For a long time, the stone was actually kept on the planet Vormir under the Watcher Red Skull. However, Thanos came to look for it with his daughter Gamora and ended up sacrificing Gamora for the stone. Then we go to the Avengers when the time heist was happening, and we see Clint Barton and Natalie Romanoff going to look for the Soul Stone a few years before. Now, whilst they're looking for this, they realise that one of them has to die for them to actually receive the stone. And they both have fights and stuff, and then decides to sacrifice herself and jumps off. And then we see in Endgame Tony Stark using it in the end. The third stone in the collection is the Space Stone, which is a blue colour. The Space Stone basically gives the user power over space. Anyone holding the Space Stone can create portals from one place to another. In most of the Marvel films, we see the Space Stone trapped inside a cube called the Tesseract. This stone has had many users. Now I'm going to attempt to say this name because it's quite a difficult name, but I think it's Jonan Smith from Hydra, and then we have Marvellous from the Kree Empire, and the Skrulls, and even Loki. During Infinity War, Thanos cracked the Tesseract and put the stone in his Infinity Gauntlet, but yet again the Avengers managed to regain the stone. Now quickly, before I move on to the next 3 stones, let me know down in the comments what your favourite Infinity Stone is. And also, whilst you're there, if you're enjoying the video, then please consider subscribing, liking, or even sharing. Now I'll get back to the next stone. Okay, now we're on the Reality Stone, and this is a red stone. This stone is able to alter reality, and if it gets into the wrong hands, basically the world could have just turned into dark matter. First of all, Malekith and his Dark Elves planned on taking the stone and reverting the universe into primordial darkness. However, it was taken by the Asgardians before that could happen. During Infinity War, the stone was retrieved from the Collector's Museum in Nowhere. Rocket and Thor was sent back later to retrieve the stone from Jane Foster and bring it back to the Avengers facility to later be used by Tony Stark. Next up is the purple stone, which is called the Power Stone. This stone is capable of granting anyone great cosmic power, but is highly likely to kill any organic beings that touch it. This stone was previously used by Ethan the Searcher for a very long time until it was hidden on the planet Morag inside the orb. Roman the Accuser, who was Kree, was then sent to retrieve the stone for Thanos. But before that could happen, the Star-Lord managed to take it, and he ended up giving it to the Nova Corps for safekeeping. However, Thanos found it later on and he put it back into the Infinity Gauntlet. And again, the Avengers were sent back in time to retrieve it. Finally, we had the last stone, which is green. And this one's called the Time Zone. I think most people are going to know this one the most because Doctor Strange is like the main user of this, and I think a lot of Marvel fans and non-Marvel fans have probably seen that film. And this stone basically allows the user to control the past, present, future. Yeah, and one of its features is that you can see all the possible futures if you do something. And another ability is that you can rewind time if something goes wrong. This stone was contained inside the Eye of Agamotto under the protection of the Masters of the Mystic Art. Doctor Strange soon came along and took charge and used it later on to force bargain with Dormammu. Later, Thanos tried to kill Iron Man. However, Doctor Strange traded the stone for Iron Man's life. But later on in the time heist, Bruce Banner managed to convince the Ancient One to give him the Time Stone, and the Avengers ended up saving the day. And that's all the stones for you. I do hope you did enjoy this video, and hopefully you did learn something new. If you did enjoy, then please consider subscribing, liking, or even sharing if you want. I'll see you next time. Goodbye!